Before we dive in, I want to invite you to a few incredible events in September of 2025. And if you're finding this later, grab the replays. So my Divine Direction retreat is happening the week of September 24th. This is where spirit meets strategy. It is pure energetic entrepreneurship, and it includes my Time and Money Masterclass, which is happening live on September 18th, and the replay of the Client Clarity Masterclass. Plus, every retreat I've ever done. That's right. It's my spiritual business bundle, which will help you expand and create your life. Grab the link in the episode description. Now let's get into the show.
Like, you need to do this thing though. Like, this is in your chart. This is your magic, and you not doing it is also kind of selfish. Like, we need this as a collective.
When the universe gives us a gift, it will be easy, even if you studied for it or got better at it or whatnot. But people think, oh, it's come so easy to me. Like, why would I charge for it? It's like, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Why are we going out of our way to get degrees and shit that we don't care about, only to make a life in our zone of excellence? Like, let's do the easy thing. I'm Elysia Skye, and this is the Brilliance Method podcast. Through mindful, motivational, and often hilarious conversations with thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and executives, you'll discover new ways to create your life on purpose. Hello, my friend. Welcome to the Brilliance Method. Today we are hanging out with the incredible Caitlan Seigenthaler. She hosts the Return podcast, which I had the pleasure of being a guest on. There will be a link to it in the description of this episode as well. Not only is she a podcast host of Return, she's a therapist and a soulful guide blending IFS therapy with human design for hundreds of clients. And she helps you ditch the noise, reconnect with your true self, and align with the biz and the life that feels so you. Caitlan takes you beyond the surface to spark some serious magic. Yes, you do, Mama. Welcome to the show.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me and for the introduction, and for sharing this energy with me. I'm really excited to just chat today and to be here.
Yes. And so, when I solicited you to be on your show, I was like, I'm a fan of your show. I love you. I love what you do. I think I should be on your show. And I'm sure you get lots of requests of people to be on your show. So thank you for having me just a couple months ago. And we became fast friends. Like, I just adore you. I adore the shit out of you. You are so incredible. You're so kind. You're so generous. You're so thoughtful. You're so present in how you show up in the world. And I was like, I have to have you on my show.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me on. And likewise. I think it's so nice, when you just connect with someone. I think the internet, the world needs more of just genuine connection. And so here's your sign, everyone who's listening. Go connect with someone in a genuine way. Because that's the only reason why I can stay online, is like for the genuine connection, the people that I would have never come across if I was, not out here on the internet. So I'm grateful for that.
Oh my gosh, me too. And the beauty of gratitude is when you acknowledge it, more of it shows up in your life. And you reflecting on that gratitude is so imperative and a great reminder for all of us, because when we focus on the gratitude in our life and what's going well in our life, we create more of that. We manifest more of that. And you're such a great example of that. And just how you speak. I hope everybody will run and listen to your show. You truly do speak in gratitude and appreciation about your life. So I want to pull some cards for you while we think about gratitude.
I am very excited for this card pull. I'm like, ooh, what am I going to get? I just did a pull around spirit guides the other day, and it was like really enlightening. So I'm excited for this one.
So whatever card I'm pulling for you, I'm sure it's going to resonate with every individual soul who is watching or listening right now. So go ahead and set an intention, Caitlan. And you, my beautiful audience member, set your intention today. Let me know when you've got it.
I've got it.
Okay, so I'm going to infuse your energy into my cards. I do that by connecting with you and knocking 3 times. If we were sitting together in person, I would have you knock the cards. I'm just going to split them once. I'm going to spread them out, and I'm going to rub my hands over the top. And I want you to say stop whenever you're ready.
Stop.
Okay, Mama. So this is the card that you are pulling, and then I'm going to just pull
Mm.
one as well. Beautiful. Okay, first one. You pulled Arakira, which is blossoming. You are just getting
Mm.
started. So have patience with yourself and the process. Do not give up.
Ooh, woof. I needed to hear this. I really, really needed to hear this. I think that, yeah, I would actually, it's weird. In my morning pages this morning, I just was journaling slash complaining about how there's a part of me that wants to go really fast. Like, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And I know that's conditioning and it's really hard to slow down and work with that. So that was a very perfect card.
You're exactly where you need to be.
Yeah.
Right. And it's interesting when we look at the success that we've had and the accomplishments that we've had. And for some of us, it feels like, oh my gosh, I haven't done anything. And for others, it's like, oh, I've done so much. Why aren't I where I'm at, where I want to be? Right. Why aren't I where I'm at in my heart and in my mind? So that idea that you're just getting started, also don't forget everything that you have accomplished,
Mm,
everything that you do have under your belt, all of your success. We're never starting over, even if we're starting a new project, a new career, a new aspect of our design, which I'm sure you're going to talk about today, which is going to be
I
really fun.
am.
Okay. But this blossoming, truly, this angel who we zoom in, she looks just like you. And she's just
Oh my
coming
God.
out of this
You're so
gorgeous
cute.
flower, this in this angelic realm with flowers and this galaxy. It's like an underwater galaxy almost, right? So
Yeah.
what that says to me too is that there's this arrival in this blossoming, in this becoming, like a tadpole that can breathe underwater, but then, then it becomes the frog. And okay, here we are. And where are we going? And the next one, cycles and rhythm. So this is mauve.
Mm,
Honor the cycles of your body, energy levels, and emotions.
beautiful.
Okay, mama. So as you're creating and moving into this next phase of what it is you're building, when you want to rest, rest. When you want to stop, stop. If you're like, I just want to fucking work like 14 hours today, like I am in mad scientist mode and I just want to go, 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 then do it. And then the next day, maybe you're going to sleep for 12 hours. Like it's fine.
Yes. Yes. You know what's so interesting too is the way these cards, like, they speak to what I'm going through, perhaps, and hopefully listeners as well, but also this combination of IFS and human design, it still is, but started as a huge pivot for me and a huge, just like total transformation and move. And so I am so grateful for you for pulling these cards because it's like the perfect, I mean, as it always is, there are no coincidences. So, yeah.
No coincidences at all. So you just honor that. And then I was only going to pull one for you, but I pulled two. So this one is for everyone listening. Okay, so this is a different deck. This is the Mind Info Oracle cards. These are a lot more like action cards. So even though this
Hmm.
is for our audience, Caitlin, just as your cards were for them, this card is also for you and for me. Okay, so I'm just going to intuitively feel guided to stop. Speak up.
Ooh, listen, the cards are not playing today.
Mm-mm. What are you not saying that's eating you up inside? You can't keep this in forever. It's time to let it out so you can move on and be happy.
Yes. Period.
Period. We talk a lot about forgiveness on this show. And sometimes
Mm,
in an aspect of speaking up is doing it with love
yeah.
and love for yourself, self compassion.
Yes. 100%. And like sometimes the speaking up is the action of self compassion as well.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay, my love. Well, that was fun. I want to get into your story a bit and learn from you and your magic. So let's kick it off. We have kind of three big pieces in your life, as far as I know, in addition to you being of course, a wife and a mom, right? You have a
Yes.
child.
Yep.
I
I have
remember.
a son. He's
That's right.
a wild thing and so much fun.
That's amazing. So IFS, tell us about that. What does that stand for, and how did you fall in love with that form of therapy?
Yes, thanks for the question. How did I fall in love with it? I did fall in love with it, but it was like completely unexpected. So, IFS stands for Internal Family Systems. And the name makes sense once you know the modality. But I think that my way that I like truly stumbled into it was very synchronistic with the universe. So I moved to Switzerland. My partner is Swiss. Yeah, I don't know if you knew this about
Amazing.
me.
No.
Yes. I moved to Switzerland, and at the time I had no intention of starting my own business. I was very happy being a therapist and working in that space. After I pivoted, I'd already pivoted from the business world. And so I moved to Switzerland. I arrive. It's a small, tiny, beautiful country, but also very complicated in the language. And I was like, what am I going to do? Am I going to try to speak German and like become a therapist and assimilate into this culture? I just went to school for this amount of time. So
Wait,
in
why did you move to Switzerland?
my husband is Swiss.
Oh, so you moved to go be with his family or just to try something new?
To try something new. So he and I met when he was still living in Switzerland and I was living in the US. And so we did long distance. And then we like met up in Iceland and Costa Rica. And we had this like very like whirlwind kind of, are we going to date? Like what's happening? It was so fun. And that was very me listening to my authority in human design, which is splenic and is like a whisper. It makes no sense. And then I, yeah, then he had the opportunity to move to the US and he did that. And then we were there. And then once we got married, we decided that we would spend some time in Switzerland and just kind of see how it was. So this was our decision together to move there. And I was unsure what I would do for work, but I also was like very stubborn about still being in the space of helping people heal and yeah, continuing to do my own healing work like right alongside. So, this is I will land this plane. So,
I'm here for
IFS.
it.
I was having a consultation with another therapist because I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I think I'm going to start my own thing here um, in Switzerland and just start my own business, which was not in my plan, LOL. And I had a consultation with a therapist who was from Denver, Colorado, where I'm from. And she was living in Sweden. And she was like, this is what you need to do to work abroad and blah, blah, blah. Because I had no idea what to do. And then she said, I really need to tell you this. I think you would really love IFS therapy. I think you need to look into it. And it was the very first time I'd ever heard of it. And 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, I flew to London and was in a training. And
Wow.
yeah,
You get shit done.
well, I was living close to my Mars line at the time as well, if anyone's into astrocartography. So makes a lot of sense that I would start a business, but I just
And just for some
went.
context for everybody, Mars is a masculine energy. It's a get shit done energy. It's an action energy. Anything else you want to say about that?
No, that's all I know about it.
No.
And so,
Okay.
yes. So I was living there and I go to this training and I had basically no idea what I signed up for, but I just followed this person's advice and followed my own intuition and went. And I'm in this room and all of these people are talking about like I take a part of me dancing and I do this and a part of me this and I was like what? Like,
What does that mean?
what did I sign up for? I thought I was learning about therapy. It was really experimental. It kind of cracked me open and made me sort of look at myself from a completely new lens. And that was fascinating to me. And it helped me, like, diagnosing in therapy has never felt great to me. Like, you are depressed, you are anxious, you are this. Like the labeling of it has never really resonated, anyways. And when I was working in other spaces and not for myself, you kind of have to do that to bill insurance or do whatever. And IFS, something I appreciate is that the premise of IFS is that we all have parts. And we use this language anyways. So we say, a part of me wants to do this, but a part of me wants to do that, right?
Mhm.
Like, oh, a part of me wants to live in Switzerland. True. But another part of me doesn't want to live so far away from my family. Also true, right? And so IFS, internal family systems, is the idea that we have like a little family inside of us, and all of these different parts play all of these different roles for us. Like, there might be a protective part of you that wants you to do things perfectly because it's protecting maybe a part of you that feels shame. And there might be another part of you that soothes, because we all have parts that soothe. Like, my favorite thing to do to soothe is like zone out on Netflix, right? And so we have those parts as well. And the idea behind IFS is that when we can get to know these parts, have compassion for these parts, and build a relationship with them inside, we find ourselves and kind of return back to like inner peace, inner stillness, confidence, clarity, calmness. And that's why I fell in love with IFS. But it wasn't love at first sight. Immediately, I was like, what? What have I like signed myself up for? Because I read, you were supposed to read these books. And I did the very high school thing that I would do. And I read, like, I speed read through them and then was like, I kind of have the gist. I don't think there's going to be a test. Like, it'll be fine. And so I don't know if I would have went, to be honest, if I fully knew what I was in for, but
Mhm.
I'm grateful to the universe for putting me on that path, because it has shaped the way I view relationships, the way I view myself, the way I view my life. And for me, the biggest like test is always, what change do I see in my clients, right? In the people I'm
Mhm.
working with. And like, that for me was like, okay, there's something to this. I only want to offer things and use things that feel helpful and that help people ultimately, yeah, just become the version of themselves that's really inside of all of us. And IFS for me and for many of my clients is one way to get there.
And it sounds like if you are acknowledging different parts of yourself, and there's parts of yourself that you tend to be less kind to or judgmental of, maybe this helps you to give grace to those parts of yourself that are still getting better at life and emotional maturity, right?
Yes, exactly. So you start to learn the stories of your parts. Like, there is a perfectionist part of me that wants me to show up perfectly, especially in a performance situation, because I played competitive sports my whole life and I had a basketball coach that was really shaming when I wasn't perfect. And he one time grabbed me by my basketball jersey. Can I cuss on this show?
Fuck yeah.
Woo! Well, grabbed me by my basketball jersey, pulled me out of the game, and said, "Pull your fucking head out of your ass." And I was a 17-year-old girl who, like, at
Mhm.
that time, and the embarrassment, right? It was full a gym full of people, and he's screaming this at me.
Wow.
And so through IFS, I've gotten to know, why does that part of me want me to show up perfectly? And it wants me to show up perfectly because it's afraid that the parts that were impacted by him screaming at me, and like, he was really truly emotionally abusive.
That's awful.
It was really bad. And like, he went on to coach there for probably 20 years because he kept winning championships. Anyways, so
But all those
that's,
like scarred kids. Oh my gosh.
and like, at such a, I mean, now, knowing what I know now, right? I know I'm an empath. I know I'm a highly sensitive person. So the way that he thought maybe he was motivating me was not true, but there had to be other women like me. There had to be other girls like me that he impacted. And it really, basketball was such a joy for me. It was such a release, and it really like shifted that. And so I've been now through IFS, like, repairing my relationship, because I was under his kind of ruling for 3 out of my 4 years in high school playing
Mhm.
at that level. And so it's that opportunity. Now I can have compassion for that part instead of what sometimes happens is then we have another part say, "Oh, well, you're so annoying. Like, just stop being perfect. Like, just accept yourself." Right. And this part that takes this job very seriously and has been doing it since I was 17 is like, no, that's what this is going to happen again. And so it's also helping those relationships, those reactions inside. I hope this is making sense.
It makes perfect sense. And I'm already thinking about all the battles I have in my own head. And, when we look at the biggest lessons that we go through in life often appear when you find yourself repeating a pattern that you
Yes.
want to break. So that's where life leaves clues for us to go, hey, you're repeating this pattern again, and it's something that you really don't enjoy, or it's disempowering, or you don't feel authentic, or whatever it is. And so that's where it sounds like this therapy, there's a real opportunity, not just there, I'm sure in many places, but especially when we're trying to break karma and trying to change patterns, when we're trying to be just better people and just give ourselves a break to go, I can't believe I'm here again, whether it's like bad relationships or cycles of debt or weight gain or weight loss or like whatever it is that we're like, I just want to be done with this. Sounds like this would really help people for that.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. And it reminds me of, have you seen the thing on the internet where it's like a picture of your like you as a child and it's like, would you say the same things to her,
Mm.
when you were younger? To me, that's IFS in like a sentence, right? Is instead of getting frustrated of like, oh, I can't believe I'm in this relationship again. It's like, wow, here's this part of me that is choosing this relationship because of XYZ reason. And let me show that part of me that there is a greater energy here now, right? Like for me, I can tell that part, like, hey, I'm not 17 anymore. Like, I'm okay that he doesn't impact me, that when I'm in the right place, speaking my truth, speak up. Thank you for that card, universe. I am okay. I am safe to do that now. That I'm not going to feel embarrassed. That there's not going to be a stadium or whatever filled with people hearing me be berated. And even if there was, it's okay because I'm an adult now and I've got this and I can tell that person to fuck off and all of those things that I couldn't do back then. And that is what helps exactly what you're saying break that pattern, break that cycle, but to come at it from such a way that it's not more pushing or forcing your system to do it.
hmm So when clients work with you, is it one-on-one on Zoom or what is that process?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked. So right now it's still all one-on-one. In the future I want to be ramping up to different like spaces and things, but I really, really believe in the power of like being with someone through that entire process. And then, of course, I love having their human design chart in front of me because I feel like it offers a whole other opportunity for us to have more compassion for ourselves and to show these parts like, hey, you know how I was saying, if we go back to this story with me and this basketball coach, that um I know that I'm highly sensitive. Well, my chart also shows that. And so it's like giving this part of me information of like, wow, this environment would be damaging for anyone, but for you, here's all of the information in your chart that shows how impactful that was given this. And
Yes.
so I love that extra component because that really helps. So, yes, to answer your question, you can start with a reading. I would love for everyone listening who's curious, start with a reading. And then the best thing, though, would probably be the deep dive because it's 90 minutes and we sit down and we do a lot of IFS as well. And that's like a good taste of the experience. But it is something you have to experience too. I have a hard time sharing what I do because it's like, well, just come and come and try it
Come
and
and do
see
it.
it. Yeah, and experience it, which I'm sure is a lot of your work as well. So,
Okay. Well, I'm going to pull up my human design chart. How about that?
oh yes, I'm so excited.
Okay, let's do this. I'm going to pull up my human design and I'm going to tell you about a pattern in my life or a problem I have, and we could IFS it, or we'll do like a mini. Uh,
Oh my gosh, Elysia, this is gonna be so fun.
I'm not trying to get a free reading. Okay. Like, I want to show.
Also, no shame in the game. Like, you've got me here. Let's do this. Why not? I see those parts. Like, you should ask me any questions. I would love this.
Okay, let's
I'm
do it. I'm pulling up my human
openly
design.
giving
You're
here.
so funny. No shame in the game. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, okay, Hollywood, Florida. Pull this up. I'll share my screen.
Yes.
Okay, because I want people to get to experience this.
Okay.
You see all this? Okay, everybody. I don't have any secrets anyway. So why don't we? Okay, first of all, let's briefly, because I don't think I've had specifically a human design expert on the show yet. I'm going to
Ooh.
have another one coming up soon, and we're going to talk about different stuff. But why don't we tell people a little bit about what human design is? Because they're probably looking at this. If you're watching instead of listening, you can see this. But if you're just listening, I don't even know how to describe this.
Yeah, it looks like Egyptian hieroglyphics. That's what I think. It's like a whole, it looks like a map that's like, it's really hard to read. But if you're looking at this, think about the gray little grayed out body as your body, those triangles and squares and everything else as the chakra system with a couple little bonus points thrown in there. And then this is basically a map or a blueprint to your energy. So, remember how you were just telling me that you just got a new phone? Think
Yeah.
of human design as like the instruction manual to you, like a phone, like step by step, like this is how you are designed. This is the energy that you're bringing into the world. These are the gifts that you're bringing. All of those things, it's the map for that. And I think that's amazing because when we're in our healing work or we're working on patterns or the same pattern keeps showing up in our life or our business, it's like, here's your user manual on how to get out of that pattern.
What should we start with? Should we start with like one of my biggest issues in my life so we can
Yeah.
IFS human design it? Okay.
Yeah, that's always
So
more helpful because like I could just start reading your chart, but it's not like that's not really the point, right? The point is to like get to the root and look at your chart and look at your gifts and look at all of the things and take a look. So let's do it.
all right. So I have two things in my life that I'm constantly working through.
Okay.
One is my resistance to being organized with my money.
Mm,
And I have Jupiter and Saturn in my second house. So I
okay.
have lots of abundance and bizarre shit that happens. And I'm very good at making money. And then I'll have big windfalls and great consistency. And then like famine. Like, where did it all go? Why am I in debt? And I've gone through this enough times in my life where truly it's not about hiring an accountant. It's like, girl, you need to like reconcile every week, look at your money, have a better relationship with your money. I know what I need to do. And of course, I don't know what I don't know. But there is something there where I still feel some resistance to fully owning it. And that's probably in there. And then and we don't have to do both, but you just pick whichever one you want to dive into, unless they're connected, which they might be. The other one that I've worked through a lot in my lifetime is my mother died when I was 12 years old.
Mm,
And the day that she died, we got in a fight. I didn't tell her I loved her. And I think I might have even slammed the door. And she got hit by a car and killed and never came home. And even though I was 12, and this year in 2025 that we're recording this, I'm going to be turning 44, I still have this trigger sometimes that if I have upset someone, it feels like death or loss or fear that they're going to die. Like, I've worked through it a lot. And I know now that when I feel that trigger of, oh my God, I've upset someone, it's like beyond fawning. Like, at this point, I don't really give a shit who likes me and who doesn't like me. But if someone I care about actually thinks that I hurt them or something, or that, I don't know, there's a misunderstanding, it's like I can't clear it up fast enough because I'm freaked out that they're just going to die. Right? There's like that trigger, even though it doesn't make any sense because I know subconsciously and consciously where it comes from. And it's gotten so much better over the years, but still every once in a while, like once a year, it shows up and it just floors me. And I just go from anger to tears almost immediately if I've hurt
Mm.
someone.
Yeah. First of
Whether or
all,
not it's rational, like even if they're like offended or upset with me and they have no reason to be and they're overreacting or they don't understand something, and I'm a 5'1", so you best believe that shit happens all the time. So we can explain that to everybody too. But
yes.
yeah, there's all my baggage out on display, going around the carousel over and over. No one's collecting it. Here we are.
I'm like truly genuinely laughing at the like carousel image, but also I have something serious to say first too.
Okay.
I just thank you for sharing that with me, all of it, and thank you for being open to this. And I really cannot imagine what the impact was like for you and your parts at that age.
Mhm.
However, also with that circumstance.
Thank you.
Um, so I completely understand why when you say that even now those parts still show up in certain ways. And I mean, yeah, of course they do,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So, what does human design have to say about this? Well, first, I've gotten this question from clients before, like, how does trauma impact human design and vice versa? Trauma adds to our conditioning, right? So, what's in front of you is a blueprint to Elysia. This is who she is, how she came into the world, what your soul and consciousness chose as your gifts, as your energy type, all of those things. And what happens to us and what happens to our parts is where we can wander away from remembering that, from getting away from that, from having parts that forget about those gifts. And so, just the very first thing that kind of comes to me when you talk about both of those things, but particularly your loss of probably, I don't know what your relationship with your mom was like, but is
They're
it
best
right?
friends, like best friends.
I was going to say probably the most significant person in your life.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide where to go because I'm curious what's happening inside of you as you look at your chart and you tell this story. I'm drawn a little bit to your inner authority and your emotional solar plexus here. That's
Mhm.
that square, the brown square at the bottom that points towards the left. And this is where in the body your decisions come from according to human design. So that obviously plays a significant impact on small decisions, but also large decisions. And when you talk about what happened with your mom and you notice that kind of aspect, like what comes up for you
Around decision making?
around decision making, around those parts that are, like you said something about even no matter what happens, I still have a part that shows up when I've upset someone.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel like I made a terrible decision the day she died.
Mm.
She had said to me that we were gonna move to Oregon. We were living in Fort Lauderdale, and she was in a relationship with a person that I didn't think she should be in a relationship with, because 12-year-old knows best. In hindsight, as almost a 44-year-old woman, I still stand by that. It would not have been a good move to move across the country for her to be with this person. But, she was in love. And so she said, we're going to move to Oregon. And 12-year-old, hormonal, think all my friends are the most important thing in the world. And to a certain degree, they were in many aspects. But I didn't want to move. So I was telling her, don't move me in the middle of middle school. Don't be with this guy. You're wrong. Why are you doing this? And didn't say bye, didn't say I love you, slammed the door. And that was my last interaction with her, where normally we would always say I love you, extra hugs, extra kisses. Like, Elysia, like, couldn't you have just hugged her and kissed her and said, okay, fine, let's talk about it later? Because she had to leave. But, I wasn't very mature yet and so many other things. But I do trust my intuition completely. I mean, I've built my life on it,
Yeah.
but that was not my best moment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And when I hear that story, what I see is a 12-year-old girl who's fully embracing her emotions as part of the gift that you've been given in this lifetime, which is to feel the highest highs of our emotions and the depths. Like, you have been gifted the range all the way up here and all the way down here. And what I'm noticing is that in that snapshot, you were in part of that range,
Mm.
and how unfair that is to parts of you that would have preferred any other
Any
emotional
other?
state or range. And I hope parts of you can really hear that and remember the age 12. It sounds like losing your mom was unknown. Like, you didn't know that she was going to pass. Yeah.
Mm-mm. No. And she had told me when I was 10 that she wasn't going to live to be 50. So she tried to warn me, but she didn't know when it was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I didn't know it was going to be that night.
Yeah. So you don't know. And as most of us in our tweens and teens, all we care about is autonomy, moving away from our parents, our parental figure, and our friends and what our friends think. And
Mm-hmm.
so just appreciating that part of the gift of your chart is that you get to experience emotional depth in a very, very deep way. And in fact, it is part of your life purpose, which we can get into if we have time. Like, see that 30 gift there, that circle, and then see
Mm-hmm.
how that shows up in your incarnation cross.
You're talking
Um,
about this?
I'm talking about, oh, I can't see where your mouse is.
Oh, you can't. So under personality, it's the second one down.
Person. Yes. Yes, that. But also, if you look at the brown
Oh, the gate.
triangle, yes, the
The
gate.
gate 30. Gate 30. Okay. Yeah.
Gate 30, and I call them gifts. And I think some other practitioners also call them gifts, but gate 30 in your solar plexus is part of your incarnation cross, which is your life purpose, why you are here. And so your emotional depth is also part of your life purpose, right? And I hope parts of you can hear that. Like, let's just imagine for a moment if you would have turned that off and pleased your mom in that moment and said, okay, I'm just curious what's happening for you right now.
Hmm. Well, it's interesting because I always go back and forth with destiny and then also timeline shifting,
Mm.
right? So had I hugged her, had I delayed her by a few seconds of her getting hit by a car, would she have gotten hit by a car a couple of hours later? Now, every time travel movie or TV show you'll ever watch tells you, yes, she would have. if I wasn't the one who delayed her, somebody else in between that moment and the moment of her death would have delayed her those 2 seconds or 3 seconds. Like, if that's how the script is written, then that is how what was meant to be. And that actually gives me quite a lot of peace.
Yeah.
And not really on the contrary, but in addition, I also believe, and I'm curious if you do, Caitlin, that there are, gosh, like what, infinite timelines, right? There's
Yeah.
just so many, I don't know if you would call them, what would you call it in physics? That there's just the same like multiple dimensions, going on at once. So I think there is a lifetime where I did hug her and she would still be alive today.
Mhm.
And and so would that be the case, right? And then I think about her and I were so close. If she had lived, there's a couple scenarios that might not have been great. Number one, she had multiple sclerosis and it was starting to
Wow.
progress. She could still walk just fine, but she was starting to have some peripheral vision issues. And occasionally she would have really hard days, probably worse than I even knew about. But maybe she would not have been the type who would have embraced or thrived. Losing her ability to walk or being wheelchair bound might not have been her. Like, she was just a kick-ass, badass,
Mm.
fabulous, like, fairy. Like, taking away that freedom
Beautiful.
for her, not that anyone else who has become wheelchair bound or, walker bound feels differently, but I don't know that that would have been something that didn't change her for the worse. And because we were so close, I may not have left when I did to go to Los Angeles. And so
Mhm.
many wonderful things happened. I met my husband and I started my career. And, would I trade all of that to have more time with her? Maybe. I don't know. We don't know. Right.
Yeah.
So it just goes back to faith and trust and
Mm.
surrender that if it was supposed to happen differently, it would have.
Yeah.
And that is the rock that has helped me move forward in my entire life. What are your thoughts on that kind of stuff when you deal with trauma?
Yeah. I think that when that feels in alignment for the person who's experienced the trauma, like what you're describing, and when you're like, for me, it's like when you're coming from self. So that calm, clear, and when you talk about it, yes, you're coming from this calm, clear place of like, yeah, this is part of it. And like me, Caitlin personally, not Caitlin the therapist, not Caitlin the person who uses human design, just like Caitlin the Caitlin, I fully believe it. It's like you can what if and go back and, you know, try to replay anything in your mind. Again, any scenario, any kind of thing, but we don't know the answer. And part of that is surrender. And part of that is just like trust. And that's also part of what I'm working to return to, moving more into the feminine. And I'm just, I'm processing, I'm holding. There's a lot of spaces, a lot of spaces. Yeah.
It's a lot of love, and you're so intuitive too. So I can imagine when you work with your clients, like you just either hear things or know things. It almost feels like a speculation, but it's a big part of your work.
Yeah, I think so. And I think for me, like looking at what parts of us need to hear, human design gives us kind of a map to that. And I don't know around the loss of your mom what your parts need to hear. Maybe nothing. Maybe this is fine the way that it is, but sometimes it's helpful for parts to remember, like, oh, yeah, that is part of my power because your incarnation cross contains a lot of emotional depth and spirit and life purpose there. So that for me is always the hope is that people can, their parts can maybe hear something different, that a different angle, a different way of hearing about themselves that maybe we wouldn't have gotten to in a healing space, in a talk therapy place. And that's the exciting part for me about human design as well, is like, woo, what else can we unlock here that we haven't tried?
Our show will be right back in 30 seconds. And right now, I wanted to share with you that as a lighthouse, I love shining a light on others. And today, I want to spotlight my friend, Lynn Louise Larson. She's the host of the Cosmic Valkyrie podcast, where ancient wisdom meets quantum science to help you align with your highest self. Every week, Lynn shares transmissions that blend energy, identity, and intuition in a way that is clear, powerful, and inspiring. If you're ready to release old patterns and step into your brilliance, go subscribe to the Cosmic Valkyrie podcast and let her guidance support your journey. Yeah, and I've had my chart read by a few different people, and no one has ever mentioned the idea that that emotional depth that I feel, or even just going through that as a child, like set me up for the career that I'm in and how I help people and what I do on this show, and what I do with my clients and what I do with my corporate work. And it's all connected to emotion.
Yeah, and then I know your chart is gone, but it's still sitting in my mind, your
Here, I'll share.
2034 and your incarnation cross. Like, first of all, you have so many gifts in your throat. So if you didn't have a podcast, I would be like, Elysia, you have to start one today, right now. Yes,
Oh
look
my
at all those
gosh.
gifts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 10 that are possible in your throat. And then look at this, 34 to 20. That entire channel, do you see it? It comes from your throat on the left-hand side and it goes down to the 34 in your sacral center.
Trying to find 34.
34 is on the left-hand side of your sacral center, right above the root center. So it's the little
I see
red
it. Okay, I
box.
see it.
Do you
Yep.
see that?
Yep. So for everyone's reference who's watching, at the bottom, this is the root, and I have a defined root. So we can talk
Yeah.
about that in a second. And then this is the sacral. I have a defined sacral. And then we're looking at this gift, this filled in line from 34 up to 20 right here.
Yes.
Okay.
And so for me, the 34 to 20 kind of channel, which is part of your incarnation cross, both the 20 and the 34, you can see that in the second part right there. This is like your vitality, your like creativity goes into 20, which is like telling all of us, like sharing that with all of us, right? And then you add in 30, solar plexus, which is like rules emotions. And like, yes, this for me is so powerful. Like, you've come with all of these gifts. And what's interesting is 30 is the only gift that is in your emotional center. And it makes a partially conscious, partially unconscious connection down to 41 in your root center as well. See the black to red line? So like between 30 and 41, 41 is in the root center on the right-hand side, and there's like a little red line, and then it's
Yep.
black.
Wait,
That's
that's the
the
solar plexus on the right?
mm-hmm.
Okay, got it.
Over on the left is the spleen. So the left triangle, and then you're right about like the little tiny left triangle to the right of like where your heart is. That is
Mhm.
the ego. And then
Yep.
heart chakra. So like the ego obviously isn't a chakra. So
Mhm.
um
Mhm.
and then heart center, and then spleen, you have an open spleen, an open ego center, and an open head center. But
Okay.
the rest of your chart is defined as well, which we could like chat more about. But I guess I get really excited because I'm like, yeah, 100% your life purpose is connected to emotional depth, vitality, and sharing that with the world.
Mm, thank you, honey. So if other people are going to book I guess you'd call it a reading, right? They'll start with a reading with human design to understand themselves. We'll have your website down below, and then you'll pull their chart. But if they're like, I want to pull my chart, so they Google human design chart, they put in their birthday. You have to know what
Yes,
time you're born,
you do.
just like astrology, and you have to know where you're born. Can you just give us like a quick, if they were going to look at their human design, they might want to look at like their profile, or like what kind of things can people start to understand right away?
Oh, yes. Brilliant question. So Jovian Archive, where Elysia pulled hers, is a great resource, and that will come up in a Google search when you just type in human design chart. You want to understand, so your strategy, I think, is more important than your energy type actually, but it is defined by your energy type. And then your authority, because how your authority is how you're meant to make decisions according to human design. And human design uses somewhere in the body. So it never is our head, it never is our like anything up here. It's always part of the lower kind of chakras and some area in our body. So Elysia, yours happens to be in your solar plexus, and that's where you have the gift of emotional depth because you experience life in those kind of emotional waves. You get to feel all of that, and you're meant to make decisions when you're in a place of like calm and kind of clarity, which you probably already intuitively know and feel. And so if I were starting my human design journey, that's where I'd really want to start, is like understanding how I'm meant to make decisions, right? Because that shows up so frequently. And I've made a free podcast, if your listeners are interested, where they can go and like learn about the parts in IFS that show up when we make decisions usually, and then also all of the different authorities for making decisions. So you can kind of listen to the combo of those two things.
Oh my gosh, yes. We'll put the link below. Please send that to me when we hang up.
Yes, I will. It's 5 episodes and they come each day into your inbox. And I think it's a
What a
great way
gift.
to just kind of get used to the parts language, but also human design. Because think about it, like we make hundreds of decisions every single day, especially if you're an entrepreneur like your audience is, right?
Yeah.
We make so many decisions. And so really getting crystal clear on that is super, super helpful. I think that's a great one. And from there, there's a bunch of stuff to learn about your energy type for sure. That's probably the most like memeified on the internet
Yeah.
is your energy type, which is helpful, but if you want to know more about your energy, I would look at your centers as well, because that's your energy unique to you. Like, yes, Elysia, you're a manifesting generator, but you're a manifesting generator who has a defined ajna, a defined throat, a defined heart center, a defined sacral center, a defined root center, and a defined solar plexus. Like, that is different than another manifesting generator because you have a little bit more definition maybe than someone else
Hmm.
would. So that's really interesting to know too. If you're interested in the energy, I would go to that level next. Yeah.
Got it. And let me see, make sure I understand this clearly for everyone else. When you have definition, it means you tend to generate your own energy in those centers versus where you're undefined, that energy gets generated by being around other people who have those definitions, or by just being a little more in your own energy, or alone time, meditation. How does that work?
Yes, beautiful question. And you are right on top of it. So,
Okay.
if you have any of those triangles, squares, etc., that like kind of look like the chakra system colored in, that means that you have consistent energy in that area always. So, for you, for example, you have your something we haven't talked about yet, your heart center, your G center defined. That means your identity, who you are, all of those things crystal clear, never going to change. You always have access to that energy. Mine is undefined.
Hmm.
So no wonder I've pivoted so much. Mine is depending on my environment, who I'm around, who I'm sitting
Hmm.
across from, who's influencing me. And that's what's so beautiful is like for me in human design, when we're all in our aligned energy, when we're all in our roles, there's a complementary benefit two people we're exchanging energy with. And
Mm.
so for me, that's also really cool is like when which it very much is, when your heart center and your G center, Elysia, is like clean and aligned, I get the benefit then of being in your energy and receiving that and being like, oh yeah, wait, I do feel like that. I do have that drive. I do have that motivation. I do see things. I see myself more clearly. And that's what's so cool, I think, too, about it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, one of my friends who read my chart said, "You are the perfect person to host like a group coaching program or a workshop or do live events because when people are in your space, they feel that power and that magic that you have and that you see in them." Because I see such possibility and incredible light in everyone, unless you are an asshole. And then you don't want me in front of you because I'm going to
Mm,
reflect back your.
yeah. No assholes allowed. Okay.
No, that's the only rule, right? Don't be an asshole. So, yeah. And then, of course, with yours being undefined, what a beautiful gift in your role as a
Mm,
therapist and as a reader, because then you get to tap into the energy of the person you're sitting with, where I may not have that access as clearly as you do in a one on one, unless I'm
yeah.
doing like a psychic reading.
Yes, and it's
Mhm.
so like everyone is always like, "Oh, what are the shadow?" I got this question from a client actually. What are the shadow sides of my chart? And while that can be very helpful to look at, like, the shadow side of an open head center is like overthinking, right?
Yep.
But
Here's my
same,
open head
same. I have
center.
I have an open head center as well, but like the aligned energy is like you probably get so many ideas and you're open to new ideas and you're open to new concepts and you're open, open, open. And so it's just important to know that and to know like, wow, I could really use this as a gift. But where we need to stop overthinking, we can then, like, if you know that your husband or your partner or your friend has a defined head center, go hang out with them.
Mm,
Right. And
yeah.
then that's how or like go to a coffee shop where there might be people who have like you're much more likely like go be in other people's energy to help you get a little bit more definition and kind of nail it down. And that for me is what's really exciting is like once you start to understand these pieces and yourself, you can start to leverage the collective in a really beautiful way too.
That is amazing. I love how you combine it with the therapy that you do. It makes so much sense. And human design is such a cool tool. Like I've never heard of anyone else using it in tandem with their therapy. And I hope that more people will jump on that bandwagon because I don't believe in competition. I believe there's enough out there for everybody and everyone's going to find the right coach or therapist or healer for them. So what a brilliant thing that you have done, Caitlin. Truly.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I am working on receiving, so I receive that. And I use it with my therapy clients, but I've pivoted as well. And so now I'm using it in like a very like business coaching strategy, kind of life exploratory way, because I think that it helps us unlock those parts of us that are overthinking or they're doing that piece. And it started actually, I have to send gratitude to a therapy client that brought it to me. I'd already been like studying it on my own personally and like knew my chart and was so excited and would talk about it at dinner parties. And a therapy client of mine was like, "Hey, can you like, I got this chart reading. Like, do you know about it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I love it." And then we started using it with IFS. And I was like, wait a second, this is changing the game. So.
That's incredible. Okay, so tell us what you do for the business coaching or therapy side of it. Because as you mentioned, most of my clients are either entrepreneurs or wanting to be, or they have a dream on the side. So, what's the best way for you to support them on that journey?
Yeah, my favorite thing to do is the deep dive. So it's a 90-minute session and it looks at like we start with one thing. So maybe my favorite one I've done recently was this person had so many ideas, but they didn't know where to start and they are starting a side hustle. And so we looked at their chart, we looked at their gifts, and then they got that information from human design, but then we also looked at the parts of them that were getting in the way of them
Mhm.
actually starting the thing. So it turned out that this person had a
It's good.
part that was afraid that if they would be like leaving people behind if they were charging for this thing.
Wow.
And so then in combination, it's like knowing that person's gifts or like kind of your life purpose too, of like, you can't, to this person, I said, like, you need to do this thing though. Like, this is in your chart. This is like, this is your magic. And you not doing it is also kind of selfish. Like, we need this as a collective. And then the person was able to hear that and be like, oh, wait. And that part was able to hear that and have a different perspective on how like charging for something that they were like naturally good at and that came really easy to them wasn't what this part was making it mean.
That's so beautiful. I hope everybody really takes note of just that teachable moment that you had with your client, because when the universe gives us a gift, it will be easy, even if you studied for it or got better at it or whatnot. But people think, oh, it's come so easy to me. Like, why would I charge for it? It's like, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Why are we going out of our
Yes.
way to get degrees and shit that we don't care about, only to make a life in our zone of excellence? Like,
Oh my
let's do
gosh.
the easy thing. One of my friends had called me a couple months ago and she was like, Elysia, you're a great coach. You're especially great with business and intuition, but you just have to be doing readings. Like, why aren't you doing readings? And I had this story in my head about I had a part of myself
Ooh,
that
look
was
at you. Yes.
she can be taught, that had a commitment to the idea that psychic readers are broke or sick or,
Mm.
all that, because all the ones that I've ever met, right? And I was like, wait, that's not my story. And I actually know a lot of very healthy, wealthy intuitives. Let's change this story. And then when I accepted I am depriving people by not doing readings because I have this fear story. And then I felt all this relief like, wow, this thing that's so easy for me that I do for my friends or I do for my paid clients, like incognito through business
Yes.
coaching, right? It's like, I felt so much relief. Like, I just get to now charge for this thing that is a gift. Like, imagine if you just got charged to be able to taste things or see things or hear things. Like, that's how it is with doing psychic work. So, yeah, the ship is going. Like, the train is off. We're doing it.
Really? I love
Mhm.
this. Is this on your website?
If it's not already, it should be soon. It does
Okay.
say okay on yes, yes, and but it is being updated at the moment. Maybe by the time this is out, it will be there and available. But on my email list, for people who are on my email list, I do send out specials to book one-on-one readings or like little reading packages, and they've
Mm.
been pretty profound. And one of my gifts is being able to see past lives, and not for entertainment specifically, but to look at where you have karma from a past life that's playing out in this life, and how to heal that to really expand in the way that you need to be expanding in this life, like to stop playing small. Because sometimes we don't know where our stories come from that might be affecting those parts of ourselves, right? And sometimes it comes from stuff way before our birth. So to be able to see that, feel that, look at that, and every time I do it, it resonates so much with my clients. And very often they say, I've either had other past life readings or I've done meditation and I have seen this vision that you're getting from me right now. So confirmation after confirmation. And it's like, okay, well, we don't need to repeat this pattern. Like, here's what's up. Here's what
Yes.
happened. Let's be
Yes.
done. It's a good time.
Ah, sounds amazing. I'm gonna find where I'm like grabs pen,
We
writes
need each
down.
other, Caitlin. I need you too.
Book psychic reading with Elysia. No, also your chart. I mean, hello, open head center, but then defined ajna, defined throat. Like you're literally open to the universe, getting the downloads, translating them out. Bam. Oh my gosh.
And like grateful for my defined route, even though it drives my husband crazy because he has an undefined route. So like,
Mm,
I'm
so
the
does
girl.
mine. And I have a defined route.
You do are like, yeah. So for everyone listening, when the flight takes off at noon, we're good to get there at 11. And our partners want to get there at like 9.
Right?
Yeah, give or take a few, but I compromise now. I'll get there like 90 minutes early.
You're like, okay, fine.
Fine, fine. Yeah, that's
You
so
can do
funny.
this.
You are so knowledgeable with just all this stuff because human design is like, again, I can scratch the surface. I know that I know nothing. It just goes deeper, 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 deeper with every aspect. There's books and books on it. How did you learn it all?
It's such a great question. I listened to a bunch of podcasts when I was really interested. So I'm a projector in human design. And as projectors, we love to study and like go really deep with a system. And hello, IFS went deep with that system, now human design. And then I started reading books on it, and I got to be totally honest. I didn't like the books. I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
This is not resonating. And then I started to experiment with my own design. And then I'd be sitting at a dinner party and someone would be like, hey, look at my chart. And so I'd look at their chart and I'd be like, oh, okay, I don't know what that means. Hang on, let me look it up. Then I'd look it up. And then I had this moment when I decided if I was going to do this professionally, did I need a training? Did I need a thing? And I signed up for a training. I took half of it. And then I was like, wait, I already know all of these things.
Yeah.
And so now I'm giving myself full permission to just, use the intuition that comes in, but also just use like knowledge I've collected on my own over the years and in the books and in the podcasts and everything I've listened to. But it's been like a hobby study for a long time. And then once I had my son, it became like a professional thing. The universe was sort of like, here's this person, they've put it in front of you, they're asking for it. Projector, I got an invitation and I was like, okay, I guess, yes.
There it is, right? So the lesson here for everybody is do what you feel motivated and inspired to do, and the universe will conspire in your favor and bring you abundance and aligned opportunities.
So well said. Mic drop.
Define throat. I don't know. I definitely fuck it up sometimes. Oh my gosh, honey. Well, I know we're almost out of time. Can we talk about your podcast for a few minutes or you got to go?
No, we can talk about the
I want to
podcast.
talk about your podcast. Okay. So, as I mentioned earlier, I reached out to you because of your podcast. I think it is such a beautiful show.
Thank
You
you.
bring such great guests on. Your episodes by yourself are so enlightening. And it's like you're transparent, you're vulnerable, you're fun, there's humor. And I would consider your podcast quite successful. I don't know what your numbers are or what you're willing to share, but I think not just myself, but there's a lot of people who are just starting a podcast journey and they want to know, like, how do I get tens of thousands of listeners every month? Like, I don't know how many I have, but it is fractional compared to yours. And I know it's going to be consistency, but tell us about your podcast journey and how do we add a modicum of success? Is that a word?
Yeah, that's totally a word.
Okay.
And first of all, thank you. Wow. I was noticing there was a part of me that was like having a hard time taking that in and like really letting myself hear it. So I'm seeing that part and I'm taking it in because it reminds me of where we started, like the part where it was like, yeah, just like where you're at is enough. So,
Yeah.
to answer your question, consistency is one for sure. But I think like whenever I think about the show, I'm always thinking about how can I infuse my creativity into the show? How can I infuse myself? And I guess for anyone out there who has a podcast, I think like 50% is just being stubborn and keep producing, like keep showing up. If you love doing it, keep doing it. If you love, because I love it. And I feel like you have to love it to a certain extent to show up in the ways that we do. So that's part of it. And then I think like strategy wise, people would tell you reviews plays a role. So there's that offering. I was just doing free 30-minute sessions for in exchange for reviews.
Cool.
So occasionally I'll do stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
yeah, just straight up strategy, like getting people to write a review anyways. Also, if you want to come on someone's show, write a review for them, leave a comment. You commented on my show and not on Spotify. Thank you.
You're
That meant a
welcome.
lot. But like interacting with people's shows and like also as the host, thinking about moments that are going to get people to interact. But I would not consider myself an expert by any stretch of the imagination. This really just started as like a creative outlet for me and a way to share like information like this with people who maybe didn't see themselves in those spaces. Like I would have never thought that spiritual, if you would have asked me 5 years ago when I was in Switzerland, like, Caitlan, are you gonna like talk about spirituality and are you gonna infuse that into your business? I'd be like, I'm not. And so also letting yourself evolve and letting the show evolve. And, it's going to go where it needs to go. But I hope that helps. Oh, pitching, pitching, pitching. You pitched me.
Yep.
I think I haven't pitched anyone really yet, but like, if you want your show to grow, just collaboration and pitching people and then meeting people, like genuine collaboration, right? Like I
Yeah.
would say this is very genuine for me.
100%.
And I only say yes to people that I feel like I have a genuine connection with to come on the show. Some
Yeah.
of the pitches, I don't know about for your show, but some of the pitches that I get, I'm like, wait a second, do you know what my show is about? Like, sir.
Yeah. I've accepted some pitches for people that I know through other people. So there's like the
Mm,
vet point there. But yeah, sometimes it's like, and I feel bad because I'm like, you seem like a cool person with cool stuff you're doing, but like I've already talked about this, or,
yeah.
come back when you've grown your show a little bit, or, that kind of thing. There's a time and a place for it. My show is still growing ever so a little bit here and there. And it's also hard to track the numbers because you're on Apple and Spotify and Amazon and YouTube. So it's like when you collect
Listen.
them all. But there is a website that you can actually see. You want me to look at yours? Do you want to know
Oh.
or do you not want to know?
I don't wanna know. I'm good.
It's
I
probably
You know what's
well,
so funny is on my to-do list is, like, podcast stuff, but also is it listen notes? Because that's where they rank shows.
mm-mm. It's Pod Pitch. That's where I found you. I
Oh.
went through Pod Pitch and I typed in all these keywords and things that I would like, and then I listened to, it has like maybe 100, and then I would go through and listen to these different shows, and I'm like, oh, I really like these shows. I would keep listening to these shows. I'm like, okay, I could contribute to this show, as
Wait,
opposed to I just want to be a guest.
I love this. Like, anyone who's thinking about pitching a show, do that
Yeah.
because this is, like, how we genuinely connected, and, like, now I'm 100% booking a psych reading with you. I'm not even
Yay!
kidding. Yeah. I'm like, that's why, like, where's the link, you know? But
Oh my God,
anyways.
sweetie. Well, if and when, hold on, let me look at booked. Where is it? I gotta find it. If and when you ever want to know your numbers, just know that they're good because when I did my filters on Podpitch, I put my minimum monthly download as 10,000 people per month.
Mm.
And then I upped it to 50. So you're
Ooh.
one or the other.
Guess we'll see. I should know the numbers. Is a part of me is like, oh my God, Caitlan, you don't know. I only know the listen notes thing, but
Even if it's like 5, like I think mine are like 1,000. I don't even know. It would be great. It might have changed since then, but you didn't want to know, right?
no, I don't want to know.
You don't want to know. Okay, sweetie, then I won't tell you. Maybe you'll want to know one day and you'll text me and be
I
like,
will. I'll be like, Elysia, what is it now?
can I give you a clue?
Sure.
It's more than 25,000.
Okay.
Pretty good,
Exciting.
huh? Pretty fucking good, Caitlin.
I know. Yeah. That's a whole other part
Mhm.
of
But
me.
how cool, like how cool to think about that there's 25, 30,000 or more people listening every week, like that's a lot of people. And I remember when one of my dogs coming in. Hi, baby. One of my friends,
Hi.
she's a musician and she put out a new single. And, you know, you work really hard on a single or an album. And you're like, okay, now everybody go listen. And it's like, you get like 30 views on your YouTube. It's like 30 different people listen to it. And like you celebrate and you hope it gets to 100,000 or a million or 10 million. And it's like, come back to reality, get grounded. One person at a time is impacted and
Yes.
affected by the work that you're doing. So, you know, I think for all of us, and this will be a reminder for myself, when I hit wonderful numbers like yours, don't go, well, it's not 100 yet. It's like, oh my God, it's like dozens of thousands of people.
Yeah. And it's really exciting. Maybe the part of me that doesn't want to know the numbers like helps me just stay focused. Cause then when I think about that many people listening, I'm like, there's that part that I talked about that's like the performance, the basketball. That's why I like podcasting because I can just kind of like show up, have a conversation, hold space for someone. I love interviewing and I like to do it. And that's it. And like the numbers to me are great. And um I would show up if there was my mom listening, you
That's
know?
right. Yep.
So,
So yeah, in your mind, and for me, I'm always speaking to one person at a time. Like there's just one person right now listening to us or watching us on their device of some kind. So I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking into your heart. We're speaking to
mhm,
you, we're sending you love. So it doesn't matter how many. It's like truly just that.
yeah.
And I I feel when you told me your basketball story, I was like, wow, because I already knew how successful your podcast was. And I was like, way to heal that. Way to heal that karma,
Yeah.
to work through that. So then the next piece of the healing is the emotional piece, right? And like when we started before I hit record, you were like, I've got really long legs and I always look short when I'm sitting, but I look tall when I'm standing. And then you told me the basketball story and I'm like, man, no one on the podcast knows about your long, beautiful legs. And like that gets to be your secret until right now. And
Surprise.
but like what a cool thing, like just the pieces of that story, you know, no more pulling your head out of your ass. Like you've done it and you're speaking with power and love and grace and helping so many people and you've like completely turned that around.
Thank you. I really received that. And yeah, I worked with those parts and like sat with them and listened to them and heard their story. And I'm grateful for yeah, that version of me and also this one now. So
Oh my gosh. Well, Mama, you are so magical and I'm so
thank
thankful that we
you.
were here today. And I'll put your website below for anyone who's listening and just needs to remember it or like voice note it into their phone right now. Could you say your website for us and anything else that somebody should Google or Safari?
Yes, love it. My website is my name, and my name is complicated, so I will spell it for you. It's Caitlan Seigenthaler, Caitlan, and then Seigenthaler, Seigenthaler. It is Swiss. It is long. I should have never changed my name, to be honest, but that's a story for another day. And yeah, you can find me there. You should definitely grab the free podcast. You can get it on my website. I'll also send you a link, Elysia, so you can put it in the show notes because that's going to go through all of the decision making stuff and infuse parts work into that, like all parts that show up when we're making a decision, and just going to help you get a lot more clarity so you can make decisions that feel aligned because I feel like that's the building blocks to kind of moving forward. So,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. Amazing. Okay. Well, everybody rush and go mindfully to experience more of Caitlan and she'll be back on the show. I'll be back on her show.
Yes.
And yeah, is there anything else? Anything else in your heart and in your mind you want to
No.
share?
I just want
You
to
got
say
it?
thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful that we connected, and I'm really grateful for this conversation and for the work you're doing in this world. And I am booking a psych reading. So, yay.
Like, I just want to give it to you. So we'll talk after.
Okay.
All right, my love. Thank you. Thank you for this exchange of energy and for your light. And to everyone else out there, have a beautiful, abundant day. We're wishing you the best, the highest and best for everyone involved and all the people in the wake of your magic.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now. The only way I'll know if you're loving the show is if you leave a comment, 5 stars, and subscribe. Be sure to connect with me at patreon.com/The Brilliance Method for access to additional content and to work with me every month in our spiritual think tank.